Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's both AEW's Dark Elevation and Being the Elite from July 4th, 2022. And let's just get right into it. These are the two shows. They both come out on Monday. I like to watch them back to back. Starting with BTE, you never know what kind of storylines that might come out of BTE will come onto the television shows. So it's not completely, some of it is canon. Like the entire Hardy Boys versus Young Bucks feud kind of started over on Being the Elite, and we get a lot of other stuff as well. So let's just get right into it. This week's BTE starts right where the last one ended, with the Young Bucks saying they were going to spend the day in Chicago right after Forbidden Door, so that Monday before traveling to Detroit on Tuesday. So Matt was standing in front of the Angels Wings in Chicago. Where's Christopher Daniels on that one? Then the Bucks show off the colorful tunnel at the airport. Matt has his son with him, all their families with them. Matt's hotel room is right outside next to the airport. You right out his window, you can see a bunch of planes docked. And wouldn't that be extremely way too noisy to sleep? I don't care how much noise canceling things are inside of that hotel. Wouldn't it be like ridiculous? So that's just a little something I thought was a little funny. But anyway, we see the Hollywood hunk Ryan Nemeth right after that. He's working out in the gym. Remember last week he was really super creepy part of BTE with a bunch of glitches, and I have no clue what it was about. But anyway, the guy we saw with Nemeth last week is recording him working out in the gym, and then it starts to glitch out again. Nemeth says he's the king of dark, as in AEW Dark. More glitches, and it's really creepy yet again. We see a bunch of Ryan Nemeth Dark highlights. I think he loses both of those matches, but it was just him hitting his big moves and stuff. I'm not sure what all of this means after 2 weeks of this, but it does make me uncomfortable, and I don't really like it. But I do. I normally love the Ryan Nemeth segments on BT, but these are really weird. I don't know what's going on. We go from that to the Bucks and their families doing some sightseeing in Chicago. There's a one-man band, but it's not Heath Slater performing on the street. There's a Nutella shop or a restaurant. I've never heard of that. I wonder what they sell. Maybe a lot of dessert type items. And everyone looked like they had a good time. It was the Young Bucks with their family. But then um, Matt tells us that Sting told the Bucks after the Forbidden Door match that was one of the most fun matches Sting's ever had in his career, which was interesting. Then we go from that to we see Evil Uno, John Silver, and Chuck Taylor. And for weeks, Dark Order has been trying to recruit Chuck Taylor. But you can see Trent Beretta is holding the camera when they're in a bathroom with a mirror. And so it kind of seems like Chucky T was going behind Trent's back with all this Dark Order stuff. But maybe not. And even Trent acknowledges that he's seen in the mirror by waving. And then we see this is actually going to be a number one contender match for the BTE title held by Johnny Hungy. And this is going to be a number one contender match between Evil Uno and Chucky T. So maybe this has nothing to do with Chucky T trying to get recruited or join the Dark Order, and that's why Trent's here. Because, like I said, I think Chuck was trying to do that behind Trent's back. Anyway, they're going to flip mustard packets, all three of them. John Silver as the moderator, and then Evil Uno and Chucky T as the two competing against each other. And they're going to flip them like coins, heads or tails. They have to match theirs with Johnny Hungy's, and they get a point. I think it was best of whoever gets the 5 points first. So John Silver has been the worst BTE champion in months in current memory. All these segments for the last month or so with John Silver having these preliminary matches for the BTE title has been the worst part of BTE in these last months. Zero entertainment. So this was, again, pretty boring. Chucky T wins the number one contendership match. So maybe we'll see that match next week on BTE. Now we see the Young Bucks. They're watching back their promo from Dynamite. We've seen them do this before. Checking to see if they need to reshoot anything. And really cool moment is Matt's son gets to be there with him, Matt Jackson's son. So getting to work with his dad, going to work with his dad here. And if you remember the promo on Dynamite, it was the Bucks saying that all their friends are gone. So we go straight from that to like it had like a white lighting around it, so it was like it seemed like it was either a dream sequence, a flashback, or something that's going to happen later in the future. But it's Matt Jackson at his house sitting on a porch, and he's thinking about all his lost friends or all the friends that are gone. Some sentimental music starts to play, and we get a pitch. It goes to a picture of Matt Jackson's phone, and we see that Matt Jackson brings up a new iPhone message to compose, and it says to Hangman. So this means that Matt had deleted all the past texts since he had to write a new message or start a new thread, however you want to call it. But he still had Hangman saved on his contacts of his phone. So Matt starts to type out. It takes a little while, but I'll just condense it and say that he wrote, "Hey man, I think it's time we talk. Can we just forget about the last couple of years? You're one of our best friends, and I feel like we need to have one conversation. It can fix all of this. I love you, dude." And then Matt thinks about it before sending it, and then doesn't send it. He deletes everything. Matt deletes everything he just typed. Matt sets the phone down and thinks hard about everything. So let's pause on that one. That's the big news coming out of this BTE. Now, of course, the story with Young Bucks and Hangman goes back a long, long time. But what we've seen on TV within the last, I don't know, 2022 is that the Bucks were kind of more accepting of Hangman, but Kenny Omega, they chose Kenny Omega's side. Basically, the Bucks had to choose a side, and I've been there in my life before. I'm sure all of you have, where you have really good friends and they don't get along, so then you're almost forced to choose a side, and it's always terrible. So I get that, but just going off of my personal experiences in my life, someone that would have texted you something like this after all of that when they chose the other side and they're like, "Oh, can we just forget about what happened in the last few years? I think we can fix all this. I love you, man." Like, if that's me now that I'm maybe I would have made the mistake, and I had in my past, where I gave friends a second chance, whether it be they turned their back on me for something, or maybe they had drug problems. There was a lot of opiate issues with people I grew up with that changed them from being like really cool guys to people that would steal $5 or $10 out of your wallet when you're sleeping. So I've given these kind of people, I'm not saying that it was like this, but I've given them chances in the future, and it never works out. So my advice to Hangman here, even though this is storyline and all that, is do not um accept their apology. Do not try to be friends with them. Just find more friends. There's a what, 7 billion people on the planet. You can always find other people that are gonna care about you more and not stab you in the back at the first given moment or chance. So that ends BTE. Let's just go right into Dark Elevation, which aired on July 4th on YouTube 2022, but it was recorded on June 29th, 2022, in before last week's Dynamite here in my hometown of Detroit, Michigan. Anna Jay comes out first. She doesn't have her Dark Order colors on yet again. It's just the original gear, looking like the Magic Lady or whatever. And -1 is actually coming out with Anna Jay. So they do the Dark Order hand gesture together. And so right when we were like, "Oh, is she leaving the Dark Order?" Here we see her with -1. And it might have been a few months since we've seen -1, because he looks like he went through a little growth spurt. Looks like another inch or two taller. Anna Jay has a 41-12 record coming into this. Tony Schiavone and Mark Henry are commentators, and Anna Jay's opponent will be Megan Myers, who's looking great. She has a great look to her, and she's got a 0-1 record in AEW. Megan was on Dark Elevation back in January, teaming with Jocelyn Navarro, and they lost to Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa. So Megan Myers has just started her second reign as NCW Women's Champion, and Tony tells us she has a dance background, which Megan shows off right away by doing a weird flexibility spot to start the match. The crowd's chanting for Anna, and we see there's the two rings set up from Dynamite, which is always a cool look. Anna hits a really, really sloppy flatliner, and Megan tries to fire back, but Anna cuts her off with 3 back elbows in a row, and an absolutely god awful looking spin kick by Anna Jay, followed by an equally bad kick. Both of those were into the corner on a seated opponent, and I don't know who to blame on that. But they look terrible. And the finish is horribly contrived, but we get a Queen Slayer for the tap out win. Really bad match here. The winner is Anna Jay by submission in 2 minutes, 21 seconds. This was the worst match I've ever seen from Anna Jay. I'm not sure how much the blame can be on Megan. That would be everybody's first assumption. But on those 2 kicks that looked terrible, Megan was just sitting there in the corner. So I don't think it was Megan's fault. And the look on Anna Jay's face tells us that she knew that that was bad, and she looks really upset. So hopefully it was just a one-time thing from Anna Jay here. I'm not going to like blast her or, you know, stuff happens. Like, for instance, Shotzi had to over in WWE, Shotzi had a couple botches in the Money in the Bank match over the weekend, and she has now deleted her Twitter because people were getting all over her case. And that's just not cool. Like, things happen. Like, you get in there and try it, see if you can get through a match without botching. So anyway, the best friends are out next. It's Chuck Taylor and Trent. They're not wearing the tie-dye jumpsuits, and we hear huge crowds cheers from the Detroit crowd. They come in with a tag record of 28-11, and their opponents will be Isaiah Broner and GPA, who make their debut as a team. But just last week, we saw on Elevation GPA lose to Swerve in Our Glory. He had teamed with Vic Capri last week. Back in 2021, GPA lost to Lance Archer and Men of the Year as well. And GPA is a regular in the freelance wrestling promotion, which is based in his hometown of Chicago. And he's currently the Zello Pro Champion and has been for over 400 days. And if you're wondering what GPA stands for, it's apparently Jeffrey Percival Astore. It wasn't my first guess. Anyway, Isaiah Bronner, his tag partner, his hometown Detroit guy here in his hometown. He wrestles a lot in the AEW based in Cleveland, and he's had matches against Eddie Kingston and Minoru Suzuki in 2022. And this is Bronner's AEW debut. And I do note that GPA and Bronner do look good next to each other. They look like a good tag team. I think this is their first time ever seeing each other, though. Trent and GPA will start the match. Trent hits a really big shoulder tackle, so GPA just tags out to the much bigger Bronner. Isaiah Bronner's now able to hit a shoulder tackle on Trent using his size, but Chucky T makes a blind tag. They double team Bronner twice. Then they hit the bicep pose. The crowd cheers. Quick tags by best friends now keep Bronner isolated in their corner. GPA gets a kick on from the apron to Trent's back. This allows Bronner to hit a really nice looking sky high. GPA now tags in and blocks a tornado DDT, but then immediately after gets hit with a nasty looking Saito suplex. Chucky T now tags in the big cheers. He takes out both men. Double team, eat the feet, half Nelson suplex by the best friends. And they're about to do their pose with the camera panning out and stuff, but Bronner takes out Trent from the apron. Trent then takes out Bronner on the outside while Chucky T hits a nasty awful waffle, the sit-out pile driver for the 1-2-3. The winners are best friends by pinfall in 3 minutes, 52 seconds. And the best friends give the people what they want after the match with their pose. So the next match is Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh out. They were accompanied by Sonjay Dutt, of course. They have a 1-win, 0-loss record as a tag team. And cagematch.net, where I'd get all my profiles and stuff to check out where they like all the info about the everyone in these matches. They have about 100,000 wrestlers in their database, and Satnam Singh is not one of them. But their opponents, James Alexander and Ren Jones, have a cagematch.net profile, and this is their debut as a tag team. James Alexander's also from Michigan. He lost a handicap match back in January on Dynamite, the Beach Break episode, to Wardlow in Wardlow's hometown. James Alexander also lost to Keith Lee on a Raw Dark match back in September. James is the PPW Michigan Cruiserweight Champion. I've never heard of it, and I'm from Michigan. But anyway, Ren Jones is a Michigan guy as well, from the House of Truth Wrestling School by Truth Martini, who I've seen many a times in the independents around here. Truth Martini, that is. You'll probably know him from ROH. But I think I don't know if I should say this, but I parked my car and I was doing the same thing as Truth Martini was, as we're both lighting up a certain substance in the parking lot before the show. I think I was the Kevin Owens going away farewell show at ROH. I think that was the one, but it might have been something else. Anyway, Ren had 3 matches on Dark and Elevation last autumn, losing to the Varsity Blondes, Dark Order, and Kaz. And Ren wrestles a lot for IPW in Western Michigan. So Ren's going to start the match here with Jay Lethal, and Ren is jacked. Great body on him. Lethal hits the Kushida hip toss drop kick combo. I don't know if Lethal or Kushida started it first, but that's who I always think of when I see the hip toss drop kick combo. Ren then now tags out James in now. Ren kicks Jay from the apron, but just gets punched in the face as a response. They go to double team Lethal right after that, but so Lethal gets out and tags in Satnam Singh. Satnam looks 10 times more athletic than the Great Khali. Definitely, even though he debuted and kind of was doing Great Khali moves, so everybody was like, "Oh, is this another Great Khali?" He's got 10 times better footwork and athletic ability. There's a reason that the Great Khali didn't get drafted in the NBA, but this guy did. You know what I'm saying? So great moves by Singh, like bouncing the guy like a basketball as he's palming his head. We get a huge cross body where Singh actually leaves his feet. A lot of the old school guys like Jim Cornette are going to be like, "Why are you a giant and leaving your feet?" But this was a cool move, so screw it. And we get the Eye of the Storm, the spinning slam by Satnam Singh, which that's the finisher of James Storm. But holy crap, it looks so much. This isn't the first time we've seen it, but it still looks just as impressive the second or third time that I've seen it. He spins them all the way above his head. So that's about an 8-foot drop for anybody he does it to. And it always looks amazing. Maybe 9 feet because he does kind of throw them up in the air as well. Really, really good move as they're spinning through the air and landing. The winners are Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh by pinfall in 2 minutes 30 seconds. And before I move on, as much as I'm putting over Satnam Singh here, who does he fight? Who do you have this guy like feud with in AEW? You got a few big guys like a Wardlow and a Brian Cage, and a couple others, but like a 10. But where does that lead to? Are you just gonna? And then who do you have beat Satnam Singh? Or do you have him? You might have to have him get some kind of weakness, like an Achilles heel type thing. Otherwise, he's just going to be AEW champion for 3 years straight, and everybody's going to hate it. So it's really, really hard to figure out what they're going to do. Speaking of people that have that should be getting better. I mean, that is getting better and should be featured more. Anthony Ogogo comes out next. He's got a record of 17-1. I think that one was to Cody Rhodes, remember? And this explains why we didn't get Ogogo on commentary for the third straight week in a row. If you haven't heard Anthony Ogogo on commentary, it's amazing. He's really, really charismatic, and he really, really knowledgeable about pro wrestling and like says a lot of good things. So between that and him and Anthony Ogogo improving in the ring, he's becoming one of my favorites on the AEW roster, no joke. And his opponent here is Pat Monix, making his AEW debut. He's better known as Project Monix on the Indies. He's a regular. He's also a regular at Freelance Wrestling, just like GPA, who we saw earlier. Pat waits too long to do his intro taunt, so they cut back to Ogogo taking off his ring jacket instead of getting the pat. So he kind of botches his one little shining moment. Pat does, unfortunately. Ogogo starts with tons of confidence and looks super silky smooth in the ring. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of this guy. Ogogo has turned the corner in the past few months and looks ready for big time, as in get this man on Dynamite and Rampage, please. Big strikes and solid holds and slams start the match here by Ogogo. The crowd's booing Ogogo so much that Pat is actually getting cheers, and I don't think this crowd knows who Pat is. So that tells you exactly what I was just saying. You have to get Ogogo on Dynamite and Rampage. Put him up against someone that you want to get some cheers that maybe wasn't getting the cheers that you were hoping for, and all of a sudden they're going to cheer him because Ogogo is his opponent. So perfect stuff here. Ogogo, one of the top heels, should be one of the top heels in AEW. Maybe throw him into that Scorpio Sky role that Scorpio's in right now. I think Ogogo could play that role 10 times better than Scorpio Sky. No offense to Scorpio. I think maybe a babyface probably should have been where he should have stayed. Loudest the crowd has been so far of the night. And Anthony milks the booze, gets some more booze for that. Ogogo goes for where he hits his really nice pop-up punch. That's his finisher. And just like every time he hits it, Anthony Ogogo waits for the referee to give the 10 count for the knockout. And huge cocky smile that gets the crowd to boo even more. Great stuff here from Anthony Ogogo. And the winner of the match is Anthony Ogogo by knockout in 2 minutes, 38 seconds. So only a 2.5 minute match here where he looked like a star. Great stuff. So damn, we come to the next match and I'm a little upset. I couldn't go to the show in my hometown of Detroit because I can't afford to go out into the crowds yet. I take care of my elderly mother and stuff. It's not worth the risk even at this late point. But I was trying to tell myself, oh, it'll be fine. It's going to be blood and guts. It's going to take up half of Dynamite. I might not see as much as I normally would, but then I had to find out we had that 2-ring battle royal on Rampage. Also, Goto and Yoshihashi were on Rampage, who I would have loved to see live. So then, so far on Elevation tonight, there wasn't anything too sad to miss out on. And then we get this. We get the return of Hikaru Shida and Yuka Sakazaki, who are going to form a team here for the first time ever in their career. And they come out, and I get sad again. So it would have been great to see them live, but oh well. And at least I didn't have to miss hearing Yuka Sakazaki's great music live, because they both come out to Shida's music. Shida has a record of 55-13, and Yuka Sakazaki has a record of 9-7. So really funny moment here. I'm not exactly sure. The camera doesn't show us exactly what happens, but if you've ever heard Justin Roberts, the ring announcer, do Yuka Sakazaki's entrance before, he does it all exaggerated. He's like, Yuka Sakazaki, Yuka Sakazaki, Yuka Sakazaki, Yuka Sakazaki. So he's doing that, and while Yuka is running to the ring, she hits her head hard on like a cameraman or a barrier or something. We don't really get to see what happens, but she's holding her head, and now Justin Roberts, in the middle of this Yuka Sakazaki, Yuka Sakazaki, he starts laughing. So when he gets to the end, he's like, Yuka, and then he's like, he couldn't even say, and then he's like, Sakazaki, and like Yuka's like holding her head. So looked like a really funny moment. I wish we could have saw what she ran her head into. But right after that, I didn't even tell you that their opponents in this match, let me find it. That was pretty funny. So yeah, that makes Justin laugh, and he has trouble finishing the intro. This is the first time they're teaming in the company or any promotion, Yuka and Shida. Yuka was last seen in AEW in May, and Shida hasn't been seen since that match against Serena Deeb in the Philly street fight. So it's been that long. Their opponents are Heather Reckless and Laynie Luck, a couple of women we've seen. Heather was on Elevation last week, losing to Anna Jay, and has an 0-7 record in AEW. Heather was trained at Seth Rollins' Black and Brave School and works at their promotion SCW Pro, and is also the current CSW Women's Champion. And she also lost to Miranda Lees at the last Warrior Wrestling show, which is Warrior is a pretty good promotion. Although they're bringing in Tessa Blanchard. Why? Anyway, Laynie Luck was just on Rampage a couple weeks ago, losing to Mercedes Martinez and Serena Deeb. She has a 0-5 record in AEW. Laynie Luck has also been teaming with GPA, who we saw earlier a lot in the Indies, and she's the current she's both the MAW and Zello Pro Women's Champion. Before the bell even rings, Laynie and Heather jump Shida and Yuka from behind. This gets massive boos from the Detroit crowd. Great crowd all night. This might be the loudest crowd for Elevation I've ever heard, and they haven't even gotten any matches that had AEW versus AEW guys. So shout out to my hometown, Detroit here. They try to double team Shida after that jump. Remember, they jumped them from behind, but Shida counters this and throws the Megan and Laynie into each other. Now Shida and Laynie will start the match out in the ring. Shida hits 10 punches in the corner. Then Megan comes in from behind to help Laynie get control. Laynie hits a suplex and a forearm, but then Shida hits her with a kick. So Laynie tags in Megan. Yuka Sakazaki also tags in, hits a decent looking kick and into a nice looking sliding lariat. And she hits a lifting elbow into the corner and tags Shida, who then comes. Yuka hits a top rope missile drop kick, followed by a Shida knees stomp, like a stomp with the knees. And Laynie comes in to help, but Shida and Yuka hit both women with suplexes. Shida then hits Megan with a Falcon Arrow for the 1-2-3. The winners are Hikaru Shida and Yuka Sakazaki by pinfall in 2 minutes 53 seconds. So we're on to our main event now. A shorter episode of Elevation than we've been getting the last couple weeks. Only lasted maybe about 38-40 minutes. And the main event is going to continue the feud between the Factory and Dark Order that we've been seeing going on recently. So this is going to be a trios match. QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Nick Comoroto versus Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and 10. They will be accompanied by -1 as well. The Factory team has a trios record of 4-5. Really good looking blue tie-dye shirt, Factory shirt on Comoroto. So the Dark Order comes out next. This particular trios team has a 0-1 record, and Dark Order actually gets jumped before the bell rings, just like the previous match. Dark Order then turns it around pretty quickly. We get QT sucks chants from the crowd. Now, triple scoop slams by Dark Order clears the ring. All 3 members hit a slam. 10 and Evil Uno try to double team Solo, but QT takes out 10. Comoroto takes out Reynolds, slamming him hard on the mat, and we don't see Reynolds for a while after that. Factory goes the triple team, and they are successful on Uno. That gets huge boos from the crowd. And Nick's the legal man now with Uno. He keeps Uno in the Factory's corner. Solo tags in. They hit a suplex leg lariat combo. QT's now in, and Uno is definitely isolated in the corner now. QT tells a woman in the crowd that she's a 10 or a 4 on the streets, which is funny. I don't know why he said wouldn't say 1, 2, or 3. Why 4? But anyway, Comoroto's now in, and he hits a standing elbow drop. Solo's in. He punches 10 on the apron, but 10 doesn't really fall. Uno then hits a neck breaker, but QT is able to take 10 off the apron with a big boot. Uno fights back, but QT, it's a massive sit-down powerbomb. That might have had a chance to win, but Uno kicks out at 2. Now, -1 distracts his mortal enemy QT. This goes back for like over a year, and that allows the tag to 10. 10 comes in with some fire, takes out everyone. Really long delayed suplex on Solo now, and 10's looking to lock in the full Nelson, but QT runs in, stops that from happening. But QT goes to the outside to take out Uno. Solo tries to get a 10 chant, like he mocks the 10 chant, but he eats a really big pump kick from 10 right after. And Mark Henry's pretty funny on commentary during this match. He just absolutely hates QT Marshall. Factory then hit a double team on 10, but Reynolds is finally back up from that slam to the mat, and he breaks up the pin. So Solo hits a brainbuster on Reynolds right after that, taking him back out. 10 blocks a QT Marshall diamond cutter attempt, which remember, nobody has kicked out a QT's diamond cutter if he hits it. Then a back body drop to his own teammate Reynolds. 10 back body drops him to the outside right onto QT and Comoroto. And 10 then hits a huge discus lariat on Solo for the 1, 2, 3. The winners of the match are the Dark Order by pinfall in 7 minutes 56 seconds, and they celebrate with -1 as Elevation ends. So pretty good, kind of standard stuff, but the crowd made this episode of Elevation way better than it actually was. There was some good things to find, like the return of Shida and Yuka, and the whole Yuka hitting her head looked pretty funny. Anthony Ogogo just showing himself that he needs to be on Dynamite or Rampage like immediately. Like, how is he not even in these battle royals we've been seeing lately? So hopefully that happens. Satnam Singh looked good out there, very athletic, good with his feet for a big guy. And we got to see. Oh, I mean, we might not see. This could potentially be one of the last best friends matches we ever see on AEW. There are rumors that Chuck Taylor might be leaving once his contract ends soon. So we don't know. Maybe that was one of the final matches. And don't we could probably forget about it, but the Anna Jay match was probably the worst Anna Jay match I've ever seen. So hopefully she bounces back from that. So I'm going to get going. I will be back in a little bit before. I'm going to try and get it out before Dynamite. I will be reviewing yesterday's Dark, as well as letting you know what happened on AEW with RJ City. So, and then after Dynamite, I'll be here with a review for that. And of course, on Friday with Rampage. So everyone have a great day, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Peace.